yes, you're right to point to Bill's leadership, who started off the process of asking the Productivity Commission. Jenny's now got the responsibility for implementing it. She's working on the legislation and she's prepared to be very consultative about that. So I can certainly say we want to work hard to get this done. We want to get a national agreement to get it done, and it will matter for our nation for the long term in the way that Medicare has mattered for our country. Controversial at the time, but now none of us would be without it. The National Disability Insurance Scheme is a reform of that order. So thank you very much for your question. I'll take the lady down the back. I think she's got, just slightly behind you, brown cardigan on. Yes.
My name's Olga Scully from Launceston. Ms Gillard, it has always been an Australian dream to own your own home, and yet home ownership has been steadily dropping, and it is now as low as 60%, which means that 40% of our people are being forced to rent. So I'd like to ask you, when you decided to give $500 million to Indonesia specifically for the building of Islamic colleges, and that was on top of the $2 billion of foreign aid that they got from us, why did you not put that $500 million, which is to build 2,000 Islamic colleges, why not build 20,000 Australian homes with that same amount of money?
Okay. Thanks for your question. We are a nation that provides aid around the world. We do some very important things, getting vaccinations into the arms of children so that they don't die of diseases that have been eradicated in our country, humanitarian aid for people who are starving. We also provide aid to our near neighbours like Indonesia, and to be absolutely frank with you, we do it because it's in our national interest. It's in our national interest that Indonesia develops, or continues to develop, I should more properly say, as a stable, peaceful democracy. Unambiguously in our national interest that occur. And it's therefore unambiguously in our national interest that the quality of education that Indonesian young people are getting is good quality education. That is, that it is not radical or extreme education, but it is mainstream education that is going to prepare them to be citizens of a peaceful, tolerant, democratic nation. Nothing could be more in our national interest than that. So we do provide aid and development monies for that kind of work. But as we do that, we invest in the needs of Australians. So let's, keep this in proportion. We do provide foreign aid. We're proud of the foreign aid that we provide. But compared with the amount of money that as a government we invest in health or pensions or education, the amount of money we invest in foreign aid is minor in comparison to those investments we make for Australians. And we have directly invested in social housing for Australians. One of the things that we did through economic stimulus was build more than 20,000 new social housing homes. So you've asked me, why don't we build 20,000? We actually managed to achieve that, as well as doing things which we think enhance peace and stability in our region. So I'll move back over to this side and we'll take a question from over here. Thank you. I'll take the gentleman here on the aisle. Yes, sir.
My name's Malcolm Cowan. I'd like to ask you why, with the whole debate on the carbon taxing, the message of that there's really what carbon tax is really about is about changing behaviour to reduce carbon emissions. Why that whole message got diluted in the whole range of tax cuts and compensation?
Well, I'm very happy to answer that question too. I mean, the purpose of putting a price on carbon is to change the behaviour of big businesses who generate a lot of carbon pollution. They're actually the people who are getting the price signal because they're the people who are paying the price per tonne for the carbon pollution that they generate. and they are big businesses, and they're relatively limited in number, and they are generating a lot of carbon pollution. You're not in the scheme unless from one site you are generating more than 25,000 tonnes of carbon pollution each year. So those big businesses pay the price. Something that they used to do for free now costs them. They're sensible business people. What they'll do is they'll work out how can I reduce that cost, and so they'll innovate and change their businesses so they generate less carbon pollution. And businesses around the nation, we can point to examples. I've been to places where they can show you what they are doing in the business to reduce the amount of carbon pollution they generate. Some of that price, it's paid by the big businesses, but some of that price does feed through to the sorts of things that all of us in this room buy and need, including to the price of electricity. Here in Tasmania, the feed through of that price has been less than 6%. Around the country, it's been generally 10%. So we knew that there would be Australians who got that flow-through impact who would need assistance with the cost. And so that's why we've made available tax cuts and family payment increases and pension increases. So 9 out of 10 households are getting some form of assistance, and millions of households are actually coming out in front. And we think they are the right households to come out in front because they are the households with the least disposable income. So the paying of that money to individuals doesn't in any way dilute the price signal to big businesses that they've got to change, our nation has to change, and we will change and be more reliant on cleaner energy sources in the future because we put a price on carbon. It's been a pretty vexed debate, a lot of fear around, a lot of false claims around, but now is your opportunity to judge it for yourselves because it started. I'll take a question from this block. Thank you. We'll take the lady there in the white, is it white jumper or white cardigan? I can't quite see. Yes.
Hello, my name's Dimity Hurst and I'm a small business owner. I'd like to know why the federal government has an issue with making Bass Strait a federal highway when I'm trying to sell my product, when I'm trying to conduct my business. When I'm in Victoria, I just drive my truck from one state to another state and I can have fair trade. Being in Tasmania, it is extremely difficult. It costs me $2,000 plus just to take my truck on the boat to have free trade with Victoria. I'd like to know why this is acceptable from a federal view, that we should accept this in Tasmania and accept that it's so hard and so expensive to bring commodities in, and more importantly, when agriculture is such a major issue going forward for Tasmania to grow, why it's acceptable that it is so hard for us and so expensive for us to therefore export to the mainland.
Sure. I'm not surprised that's a popular question because this has been a popular topic of conversation today. Before we came to this meeting, my cabinet colleagues and I actually met with a range of business people from the local area who all raised this issue. It's been raised with me extensively by the media today as well. And even before I was in Tasmania, let me assure you, I have heard about it long and loud from Jeff, from Dick, from Sid, from our Tasmanian senators who are here. They've been very, very focused on this issue because of the competitive issues that you point to. Now, I'm going to ask Anthony Albanese, who's spent much of today talking to people about this, to address your question. It's a very significant issue and one we're determined to work on.
Yeah, thanks, Prime Minister. Just today, we announced the calling for nominations, if you like, for the Freight Task Force that was established as a result of the intervention by Infrastructure Australia as a result of the problems that